Well, moving into our second segment of the day, we have Piers Morgan here. And I haven't seen this clip. I saw the first 10 seconds. I'm like, nope, I gotta cover this. So you're gonna get some commentary and a real-time reaction here from this. But it's International Women's Day when this came out. And is it International Women's Month or something like that? Not sure. Well, this is all in the whole idea that people are self-identifying as women when in actuality they're biological men. And there's been some consequences to this, from women getting raped in the school system to men dressing up with fake prosthetics in the classroom, like that wood shop or a metal worker that we saw in the school district. There's women being raped in the prison system by men that are claiming that they're women when in actuality there aren't. I mean, there's a lot of problems that you could pick out from this, but just listen to this back and forth between Piers Morgan, clearly this other leftist, Tomi Lahren's on here. We got it all for you. Hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Well, joining me now is the author and commentator Angelica Malin, TalkTV's Esther Krakue, and Fox News contributor Tomi Lahren. So, Tomi Lahren, let me start with you. Two people in Britain today who've been at the forefront of not saying what a woman is. One is Nicola Sturgeon, the ex-First Minister of Scotland, who lost her job because of this ridiculous farce of a rapist self-identifying. She tweeted today, proud on International Women's Day to visit my old University of Glasgow, and banged on about women's rights. This is the woman who just literally lost her job for allowing a male rapist into a female prison. And Sir Keir Starmer, who's the leader of the opposition Labour Party here, was talking about protections for women in Parliament today, and yet he refuses to say what a woman is. Where are we with this? How has it come that leaders of parties in countries like the UK, and we see a lot of it in America as well, just won't say what a woman is?
Well, first of all, I have to apologize to you because all of this wokeness originates here in the United States of America, and then we export it to you in the UK.
Yes, you're to blame.
So we started this really in America. Yes, we are. You know, the wokeness starts here, and then it, of course, moves over, and now you guys have to deal with it. The world has to deal with it. But I say this, I'm proud to celebrate International Women's Day because I know what a woman is. So I would say if you don't know what a woman is, you don't get to celebrate it. You don't get to pretend to be a feminist when it's helpful to you or helpful to your political narrative. You have to be able to define what a woman is. This is all a farce. They are seeking to erase women, and this is the radical rainbow mafia, as I call it. This is not your average LGBT activist. This is the rainbow mafia section of that radical LGBTQ movement that has made women less than, and then has elevated all of this transgenderism and all of this pick your gender, identify as potato. They have hijacked the women's rights movement.
I love that she's talking and kind of separating the two, because there are those that are part of the LGBTQ community that aren't pushing a very the same type of narrative that we see from the progressive left and Democrat Party. And there's even conservatives that are gay. There's conservatives that are lesbian, whatever that may be. But I love the point that she's separating the two, because I've been making a separation even in the education system between these teachers and activist teachers who are sitting there trying to groom your children, trying to give them and at least process them along the path of being trans, or grooming them without the parents knowing. Those aren't teachers. Those are activists in the classroom masquerading as teachers, pushing an agenda on your kids. So I want to separate the two, because look, there's gay teachers out there. There's maybe trans teachers out there, whatever it may be, that aren't trying to push an agenda on your children. They're activists. They have an agenda. They've infiltrated our education system in the same way that the progressive left have infiltrated this country with their ideas. And it's those ideas that are cancerous. Again, I keep bringing up my book, Trojan Horse, but that's what it's all about. Masquerading and coming into our nation within our walls and trying to destroy it from the inside out. And those ideologies are what's going to do it. And it's already been happening.
Feminist movement, and actual feminists should be really pissed off about it.
Well, as a feminist, I am. I recently interviewed Angelica, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, and I asked him this question, which seems to stump many other leaders. Here's the clip. What is a woman? We know that Nicola Sturgeon can't answer that. We know Keir Starmer can't answer that. You're the British Prime Minister. What is a woman?
Yeah, of course I know a woman.
I mean, Ketanji Brown Jackson, that was being nominated to the Supreme Court, couldn't answer it either. Her response was, well, I'm not a biologist. So that was her answer. So it seems like a lot of people in high places can't answer a simple question.
An adult human female.
It's not difficult, is it, Angelica? I mean, that is what a woman is.
I mean, I don't know why you're obsessed with defining it. Like, what is a man? Like, why do we need these arbitrary...
A man is a male adult human. I mean, that's it.
Right. Okay. I don't know that we need
These are just biological facts, but they're just facts. They're not arguable
definitions.
points, are they?
But I think we have a right to self-identify, and you said
As
you
what?
want to.
As what? Well,
If
hang
you'd
on.
like to be a woman, you can identify as a woman. I don't know why there is such an issue around.
We've literally just seen a male rapist use that scam to get himself put into a female prison where he could attack vulnerable women inside a female prison, when even his ex-wife said it was all a scam.
Which is a terrible, very distressing, isolated incident, and I think it's easy to take that and say that means that no one can identify as a woman, and
But
that's
it's not an
that's
isolated
not fair.
incident, though.
But it's
42% of trans-identifying prisoners in prison are in there for sex crimes. There's actually an advantage, evidently, to identifying as a female, because they never identify as male, because somehow male prisons seem less appealing to them. It's really weird. Anyway, but
Is it limitless, this self-identity?
It's not totally limitless.
What's the
but
limit?
when you're talking about International Women's Day, I don't know why we take the conversation around International Women's Day and make it about this.
But if anyone,
there's so many benefits.
right, but if
to having
anyone,
a day.
according to you, can identify as a woman,
Didn't Jill Biden just like award a trans person an award for like Women of the Year or something like that? I mean, didn't Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner, win Woman of the Year as a man? I mean, there's a lot of conversation that's evolved around this in terms of you're allowing men to outcompete women. I mean, we're not even talking about sports here, just anything. So now you have another biological male winning another award on International Women's Day, being handed down by the First Lady of the President of the United States. But no, we can't have these conversations. You make it a big deal by parading and pushing this whole agenda. So then when we bring it up and want to have a conversation about it, going, hey, it's a little bit BS, it's a little bit out there, the fact that you're trying to change your sex of what you can't do. I know people will pretend on the progressive left that you can, which you can't. But, once we start talking about it, then we're all bigots. Well, I don't know why you're making such a big deal over it. Because you made a big deal over it. That's why. And by the way, there's people raping little girls in a public school bathroom because they're identifying as a woman when in actuality they're biological male. And you want them to coexist and share bathrooms and locker rooms and stuff.
anyone can, right?
I don't see a problem with
Just literally put the hand up and say, I'm a woman.
But it's not an easy thing to do to
Yes,
go
it is.
out into
Actually,
the
it's
world.
incredibly
It's very easy.
Incredibly easy.
You might think it's easy to say.
You want to see how easy it is? I identify as a woman. You can't tell me otherwise. You don't know how I feel. You don't know what's going on internally with me. I was born this way. You don't actually just. I went through a dream last night, and now I'm a trans. So now I'm a woman. I identify as a woman. You can't look at my outside. My outside doesn't represent on what's going on in here in the inside. It's that easy. And then what you can do, because you're a psychopath and you want to play into that whole delusion because you want to rape somebody. I'm not saying that every trans person's like that. That's not what I'm saying. But the situation of what she's bringing about here is that's what the agenda is. So you can sit there and go harm a woman who's actually a woman and you're a biological male masquerading as a woman. That's their agenda because they're crazy. Not all of them. Again, not all of them.
But to decide to do that, to say
What
this
does
is
doing
who,
it involve?
Whatever that person decides, but to
Does
go
it
out
involve
into the
makeup?
world and say, I don't identify as perhaps the sex I
So
was
why
born
can't
as.
I
It's not-
identify? Okay, why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was.
Well, I'm serious. I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is,
I
why
think-
can't I on International Women's Day say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
I think taking it to a kind of absurd status,
I think
we're
that's
talking
what.
about quite a
with
strong
respect, I think
physical
that
change.
you'd already opened the absurdity door by saying it is limitless. You can do what you like. Anyone can say I'm a woman. So I simply ask you, why can't I?
I mean, this point kind of ridicules trans people to an extent.
Actually, I think what you said ridicules trans people, because actually people who go through the full process of transition, who actually go through what we used to call a sex change, which I don't think you can muck around with original biology, but those who actually go through surgical procedure over a number of years, I've got great respect for that very difficult journey they go on. I had zero respect for people who just wallop their hand up and go, suddenly, I'm a woman and I want all the rights that a woman has and I want to compete, say, in sport. I'm a 6'4" athlete, sprinter, swimmer, whatever, who's competed very mediocrely in male sport. I now want to come in and crush women in swimming pools and in sprinting events and break all their records, perhaps irrevocably, just by saying, I'm a woman. I think that is the absurdity you were talking about. My response was to say, well, if it's limitless, why can't I then say whatever I want to say? And you say immediately, as I knew you would, well, that's ridiculous. But my point is, you were being ridiculous.
Well, that's your opinion. You can think I'm ridiculous, but I don't think you can say, well, it has to...
I don't know why I am, but you're not.
I don't think you have to say it's post-op is the only way that someone's allowed to identify as trans.
The original standard
the
original standard for being transgender was being diagnosed with gender dysphoria, which is a legitimate condition. And now it's being, however way you feel. So if you feel on Tuesday you're a woman and on Thursday you're a pizza, that's perfectly valid. But to you, that's ridiculous. And I want to know why that is ridiculous. We should be talking about actual women on International Women's Day. That's not crazy.
I mean, I agree. I think, but your idea of an actual woman...
chromosomes.
It's an adult female. It's not difficult.
The chromosomes are a pretty good indication.
I don't think you have to be biologically female to identify
Then
as a
you are
woman.
wrong, because then I can identify as a fox.
Yeah.
But again, it's...
Exactly right. Thank you. And this is what conservative Republicans have been talking about forever. You can identify as anything you want, and then it trickles down into age. It trickles down into the animal species. I mean, that's why literally on Matt Walsh's show or his film, What is a Woman, you had people say, I identify as a wolf. You have people literally identifying as animals now. This is how insane it's gotten. And by the way, if you turn that down to age, then somebody that's like a 10-year-old can identify as being 21. Now he could drink or she could drink. Or heck, I'm turning 34 soon. Hey, I identify as, let's say 72. I want to start capitalizing on my Social Security. You can't tell me I'm not 62 or 72, however age I want to be. You can't tell me. I want to capitalize on my Social Security. So all these things are just, it's preposterous, and it's all based on your feelings and what's going on up here. And let's be honest, not everything up here is always legitimate. There's a lot of crazy people out there. There's a lot of people that think that certain things are going on when in actuality they aren't, which is what the lovely woman on the right here is saying of, hey, it used to be classified as gender dysphoria. It was an actual condition, and now we're making it seem like it's normal, that it's all nonchalant to have a condition that was very serious back in the day that we wanted to try to progress along in terms of helping those people rather than just lopping off their genitals, giving them hormone enhancers and puberty blockers. But we can't talk like that because, again, we're always called bigots or we're not taken serious, as you just mentioned here with Piers Morgan saying, hey, why don't I just identify as a black lesbian? Oh, well, that's crazy. You can't identify as that. Why not? And then her whole argument gets shellacked and shuts down.
Kind of absurd point.
How many? Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Angelica. How many genders are there?
2.
There are 2 genders. Oh. Wow. So you don't believe in transgenders at all?
Well, I think there are...
Whoa, hang on. Whoa. There are 2 genders?
Well, it's taught in...
Well, you say, well, you've literally just launched this huge defence of transgenderism. Now you've eradicated it.
I think there's...
If there are 2 genders, you mean male and female, right?
There's gender fluidity. I will...
Fluid between what?
Between what?
Between different identities, and we can choose different identities.
You see how difficult this is, though?
But it is difficult, but I think making...
But it's not difficult until you make it difficult. You see, the BBC has done teaching videos to 11 and 12-year-olds where they say there are 100 genders. One of them was astrogender, which is an affinity with the stars and the galaxy. My response to that on the last show I did was to say, well, in that case, I identify as a 2-spirit penguin. I was then told I was being ridiculous, but I made the same point. The ridiculousness is the BBC teaching kids there are 100 genders. There aren't. It is absurd. Bring back Tomi Lahren, who I imagine is hyperventilating over there in America. Tomi, I mean, look, I don't see why, if it's limitless, I can't just say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian, because that is where limitless self-identity takes us. It means that male rapists can say they're women and get into female prisons. It means I can say I'm a 2-spirit penguin or a black lesbian, and why can't I? Because that is where it takes you.
Well, it certainly does, and I think you just had the perfect argument there. It's impossible to define, and it's impossible to stand up for because it's a mockery of what actual people are. And furthermore, going back to children, when this happens at a young age, when you start trying to convince kids that they don't know what gender they are, or they're born in the wrong body at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, that's child abuse. All right? Gender-affirming care wherein you only tell somebody they can be whatever they want to be regardless of their biology at a young age, that is child abuse. It's happening in the UK, it's happening in the US, and this is making room for groomers to groom young people, to confuse the heck out of them, make them not know what they are so that they can take advantage and exploit them. Now, I want to be very clear here. This is not the mainstream LGBTQ movement. There are a lot of conservatives that even support that movement. This is a radical agenda made by groomers, and they don't want you to call them groomers, which is a perfect example of why they are groomers. This is what we're doing, is to confuse young people, to confuse all people, to make them dumber, make them confused as to what they are. It's a mockery of women's rights. It's a mockery of human rights. And we should no longer be having the discussion.
And you end up with scandals like the Tavistock Clinic here in London, in the UK, where they were basically mutilating children, young, kids, teenagers, mutilating their bodies irrevocably. And then it turned out, after it closed, after a scandalous report came out, that 97% of all the patients had other conditions, from autism to depression to other issues.
I think what he's referring to here is a lot of lawsuits came about out of this, which is why I think the UK reversed the policy that he's talking about here of mutilating these children and these people because of the lawsuits. And that's kind of the conversation that's evolved here in the United States of, well, it's not going to get reversed, or it's not really going to maybe ever come to fruition to the point that these progressive lunatics want of castrating children because of the lawsuits and the damage that it could come about, not just on a litigation side, but also obviously on a permanent damage side that you're doing to these children.
Which may have been affecting their ability to think straight about what they wanted to be. And that was, to me, as a father of 4 kids, utterly horrific, just horrific that this was going on. And anyone who tried to raise concerns about this, and journalists did, were immediately branded transphobic. And Esther, this comes back to what we see.
There you go. And we're going to end it there. There is a few more minutes left here, but you see the agenda and you see how hard it is to actually be on the side of that agenda in terms of what the progressive left and the Democrat Party is pushing, of having people identify as whatever the heck they want. And by the way, I've even talked about this at length here on the Bald Brad Show in my later or earlier videos, depending on how you want to look at it. When we first started the show, of what have I experienced in the classroom of people just changing their identity literally just by going to the bathroom and coming back and there's somebody different. And you have to just know what to call them. You have to respect that or else you can lose your job. So again, everybody can identify just as they want. And that trickles down to a lot of sorts of things that can sit there and disrupt a society and ultimately cripple society from the inside out. Again, plugging in my book, once again, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. It's these narratives, just like you saw on the screen, that are going to destroy this country from the inside out unless we have people that are going to rise up and talk about it and say enough is enough and actually be adults going, you can't just identify as anything you want. There's things called objective truths. Sure, you could say whatever you want about your truth, whatever the hell that means. There's only the truth. Your truth could be something totally wrong. There's objective facts. We can determine who is a male and who is a female. Just because you feel like a female doesn't mean that you are. Just because you feel like a male doesn't mean that you are. Okay, so there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think about this. Head over to baldbrad.com. Buy yourself some shirts. Buy yourself some merch. We got a lot of cool stuff there. A lot of cool logos, folks. Shirts are coming in. A lot of you have messaged me about you ordering them. You got your mugs, your shirts, your hats. A lot of cool stuff. And pre-order that book. It's coming out Monday, folks, March 13th on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's going to be a big day. Maybe we'll do a live stream. It is my birthday, so I don't know. I might go out to dinner or something like that. I have no idea, but an early birthday present. Hit that join button. Join us here. Become a patriot. Become a Bald Brad member. And make sure you pre-order that book for a friend or family member that loves to read political commentary and just watch the destruction of the Democrat Party's narrative and the progressive left. Folks, I hope you have a lovely weekend. I look forward to seeing you during this weekend for Supernatural Saturdays and more of the Bald Brad Show on Sunday. Have a great day, folks. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.